Welcome to What's the Effie?
What the Effie?
Hello, everyone. Hello. Welcome. And if you're out celebrating Veterans Day, I too am giving a big piece of my heart to all our veterans because it's because of them I can say whatever the frick I want. And I am grateful to them, very grateful. And I'm also very grateful to my guest today, Alexis Morgan. Alexis, thank you so much for coming on.
Effie, thank you. I'm so excited to be on What the Effie, and I was smiling so hard because it's so hard to watch that intro video and not just cheese ear to ear. You have such an amazing personality. You're a great host, and I appreciate you bringing me on today.
Well, thank you very much. I consider you a friend, so I'm going to go easy. Not. Anyhow. All right. Well, for those of you who do not know Alexis, because that's one of the wonderful things about a podcast is that it will be on YouTube for an awful long time, probably well after I'm dead. But Alexis is just a young'un. So how old are you, Alexis?
I just turned 21 a couple days ago.
A couple of days ago. Wow. And the last guest I had turned 17 2 days after the podcast.
Oh, that's amazing.
Yeah, so I'm kind of focusing on the young ones at this time. So how's it feel to be 21?
It feels good. I really am looking forward to getting my horizontal license. That'll be cool. I just
Your what license?
You know, when you're under 21, they give you this vertical one that shows, you're under. So that's one thing I'm looking forward to. I'm also looking forward to being able to bring wine to parties, like as an adult. That'll be cool. But so far, so good. A couple days in, no complaints.
I think 21 is a magical age because of the fact that you are legitimate as an adult, and yet no one sees you as, hey, get to it already. You're dragging behind. That's not at all the case. So do enjoy this year. I think that it's pretty wonderful. I have noticed that by the time people get to be 24 to 26, they're like, hey, people don't think I'm quite as special as they did a few years ago. I'm like, welcome to the real world.
So harness it right now is what I hear.
That's right, party. Hey, Julie, nice to see you.
What's up, Julie?
Oh, a dental appointment. My goodness, I'm sorry about that. But they're important. They're important. So anyhow, I want to say thank you again. And I want to start kind of at the very beginning. I like to get an understanding of my guests' early years. So tell me a little bit about, Julie says, yep, she wants to know all about that too. So tell me about your family and siblings. Where were you born? What kind of family were you born into? Talk about your early years.
Yeah, I was born in Washington, D.C., capital of the United States, very busy area, a lot of business going on, especially a lot of government contracts. When I was born, my mom was working for a consulting agency. She actually still works for that. Can you believe, like, over 20 years, she still works for the same company?
Wow.
But she's working for a consulting agency, Booz Allen Hamilton, and my dad was a sales agent, I believe, at Johnson & Johnson. Grew up right outside of D.C. in Maryland, Fort Washington, Maryland. Some of my family still lives there to this day. A lot of my close family, though, was in Richmond, Virginia. My mom's side was in Richmond. My dad grew up in Richmond in a little suburb called Chesterfield. And so by the time I was 6 or 7, my parents divorced. They split ways. My dad, quit his job at Johnson & Johnson, and he went off to be an entrepreneur. And my mom was looking totally other way, security, these kids, etc. And they just couldn't make it work. So I moved to Richmond with my mom and my brother. My brother's 18 months older, so we're really close in age.
Wow. Wait, what do they call that? Oh, I think they call them Irish twins.
Oh, really? Is that what it's called? Nice.
Yeah, it's called Irish twins if they're born, well, actually, technically within, I think, 14 months or something like that. Because the Catholics used to have them one.
Close enough.
Anyhow, yeah.
So,
and is he older or younger?
He's older. He's older. So he's only a couple, like, I guess a little over a year older. And so people always ask, like, oh, is your brother protective? You know, when you have like boyfriends and stuff. And I just think we're too close in age. Like, we kind of look at each other as equals. It's not like he is like here to protect my world. And so anyway, growing up was really fun. My brother and I had complete opposite personalities, especially as we were growing up. I was very introverted and to myself, and I was always
wait. Did you say you were introverted?
Yeah, I honestly, if you would have told me back then that I'd be doing what I'm doing today, I would have said you got the wrong one. Yeah, I was extremely introverted, and growing up, I usually only had like 1 or 2 friends. I didn't ever have like a huge friend group or go to parties. I would always hang out with like 1 or 2 close friends. Whereas my brother is like the name of the school. Like, everybody knows him. He's going to every outing. I remember in high school, there was points in time where people would address me as Anderson's little sister. Like, that's how bad it was. Like, nobody knew who I was. But
wow.
Overall, you know, since I grew up majority of the time with my mom, I'd go visit my dad in D.C. and Maryland some weekends. I started playing soccer when I was little, which gave me a little bit of ambition, competition. But overall, growing up, my mom designed our life in a way where the path was set, right? You go to school, you go out of school, you go to college, you get a great job. My mom has a PhD in education. She was a high school teacher before she worked for this consulting agency. So she believed in education more than she believed in anything. It's like, here's the Bible, here's Christianity, second belief, education. Like, that is the way to go. And so the path,
come on, she's got a doctorate in it. What do you expect? I mean, you know, that's a lot of studying. And
a lot of studying.
It is. So you've got to know the field. I mean, I've worked with a lot of PhD students because I managed PhD and master's programs in different fields. I never handled education, but they know a lot. That's why they're called doctorates, right?
Yeah.
So, wow.
Yeah.
Okay, I can see that she laid it out and she was thinking she's doing the best. Okay.
Yes.
So I'm almost afraid to ask what happened.
What happened,
right?
So, you know, overall, my brother and I grew up in a very encouraging environment. You know, we want to be the best. We want to do the best after school, during summers. My mom would create assignments for us to get ahead, for us to learn more, for us to always be developing ourselves. So I'm lucky that those core values I've had since I was a little kid. Now, fast forward to senior year, this is Corona. When Corona hit, it was 2020. I was a junior in high school. And at that time, there was nothing for me to do except learn. You know, in my free time, what I spent my time doing was either playing soccer, working out, or reading some book. I was a nerd. I was just the number one on my Clifton strengths is learner. So I was soaking in information. At this time also, my mom got remarried and moved to Florida. So I didn't even have a chance to hang out with friends during Corona. There was no one. I knew no one. My brother was in college. He's 1 year older. It was my junior year. He graduated. So it was just me. And I spent that time learning about real estate. Jerry Norton came up. Rich Dad Poor Dad came up.
Wait a second.
What's up?
Okay, I'm absorbing the fact that you happen to be a COVID kid. You know, because that's a generation which has challenges, you know, not having the normal socialization and the opportunities and everything else, and having the world stop. Has been a lot of concern about that affecting people negatively. Yeah. So you not only had that, but you moved to Florida.
Yeah, it was actually crazy because when Corona hit, my mom had just gotten remarried like a couple months before, and my stepdad is from Florida. My mom's lifelong dream, for some odd reason, was to live in Florida. And so they were like, you know what? This is the perfect opportunity. We want to move to Florida. And I'm lucky because they asked me, hey, we know it's your junior year. We know that you've grown up here. Do you want to move to Florida? And because my brother had graduated, the whole school knew him and not me. I was like, you know, no one's going to even know that I'm gone. I don't have anything here waiting for me. Let's go to Florida. That was my mindset.
That's hysterical. That's hysterical. Okay, so that's one of the things I wanted to ask because it is an unusual sort of situation. Who is Facebook user?
With
Should we
Facebook.
ban this person?
I don't know. They're being supportive.
They're saying nice things, but who is it? Okay, I'm just laughing. It's like no name, right? So tell me this. When you were exploring on the internet and playing, oh, it's Birdie. Oh, sorry.
Nice. Definitely
I
don't
love
ban
Birdie.
Birdie.
Yeah, Birdie, for sure. Oh, that's hysterical. Wouldn't it be funny if she wrote, "This is Pace"?
Yeah. There's
And
no way Pace would come on as a Facebook user.
I know. Well, yeah, that's true. But when you started playing with the internet and learning real estate, well, two things. What did you want to go to school for prior to meeting real estate? And how and why did you meet real estate? The internet's really big, you know.
Yeah.
There's a lot of stuff. So those two questions.
So the first thing being, since my mom set this path, my brother and I were always high achievers. My brother had a little bit harder time in school than I did, but we were both like, we wanted to do big things. And since I was a kid, you know, grades 1 through 12, before I said, okay, maybe real estate, I wanted to do whatever was the best. I said at some point I wanted to be a surgeon, a brain surgeon, not a regular surgeon, a brain surgeon. I said I want to be an engineer. And all of these things were kind of like buzzwords. I just knew I wanted to do something great. You know, I wanted to do something big. And so before I ever discovered real estate, I entertained a lot of these like really technical and high level positions that you just can't do unless you're willing to put in the years to study. Obviously following in the footsteps of my mom, right? But how did I come across real estate in the first place? Again, so I'm a huge learner. And one time I was traveling, this is my junior year of high school, I was traveling to my father's house in Maryland, and I brought a fiction book. You know, I always like reading. I spent my free time reading. I think before 2020, before COVID, I think a lot of people had better things to do than scroll on their phone all day. Just personally, I've seen like a huge addiction crisis of like social media. But anyway, I used to read a lot. I still do. And I brought one fiction book for like a whole summer at my dad's house. And obviously I finished it early. And I was just like, well, I have nothing else to read for the whole summer. So I went down to my dad's library and I was just scanning his library. And there was one book in particular that caught my attention. And that was Think and Grow Rich by Napoleon Hill. And I read that book in like a week and I was obsessed. I was researching what are the other books like this? I didn't know I could take control of my life. I didn't know that I can create whatever I want to create. I didn't even know that there were riches available to me. I thought that me going to get a job was the best way to build my life and build my lifestyle. And so when I put those inputs into Google, YouTube, etc., it spit back out crazy amounts of self-development, real estate, investing, and then I just got hooked. And from my junior year to the end of my senior year, say to like mid of my senior year, I was obsessed. But I was also in analysis paralysis. You know, I was learning, but I wasn't doing anything. And that was
that's understandable because you still had your last year. So let's talk about this part. When you came across real estate, who were the people that first affected you, like, you know, really helped you become interested? You started to say it a little bit, and I was like, wait. I wanted to pay attention to this part because I hope that I'm right when I say when you're my age, there will hopefully still never have been another COVID. And everyone's going to say, really? You really didn't play with each other? You didn't do this, didn't do that? Because it's not optimum. So that's why I wanted to pay attention to that. But tell me about who did grab your interest first and who, you know, what sort of things you looked at. Besides, you know, it's not analysis paralysis, you know. It's just being like a deer in the headlights. You know, they're looking at the light and they're like, oh my God. What is that? It's a God, you know, and until they move out of the light, do they realize, shit, it's a car. It's going to hit me. So, you know, I think that you got to give yourself a bit of a break. I mean, it's overwhelming for adults, you know, for someone who's still relatively young. It must have been, you know, very much.
It was like a new world.
Exactly. So Rich Dad, Poor Dad, Rich Dad, Rich Dad,
That
Poor
was the
Dad.
first thing. That was the first thing. Because I was already reading books. I was like, what's the next book on this? And then after that, I was watching Jerry Norton almost, the whole day, 8 hours a day, how to wholesale, how to call an agent, how to talk to an agent, how to comp, how to underwrite, just everything. I was taking notes, learning everything. And the crazy part about this is once school started again, it was like, okay, great, those notes were good, but I'm a senior. Like there was a period of time, I would say at least 7 or 8 months, where I sat with this information and I literally did nothing with it, which is okay. That's life. That's the process that was meant for my journey. And the only time that the information came back up. So this is now I've learned, I've done nothing. How did I end up here? The information came back up when my senior year came. I was applying to colleges. Georgia Tech gave me a scholarship. I was going for biomedical engineering, which again sounds really cool and fancy, and it is.
I know biomedical engineering because it was one of the programs I had for a short time.
Yeah, it's not.
And you got a scholarship?
Yeah.
Yeah. I would have been so excited for you. I was
excited, and my whole family was excited because up until this point, there was nothing else I wanted to do but go to the best school and get the best degree and get the best job and achieve things, right? But the information came back up the summer that I went to Georgia Tech, because the first 2 weeks that I was there, I realized that I was largely out of place. I didn't like anything about it. I didn't like going to class. I didn't like what I was learning about. I didn't like the campus. I didn't like the people. I didn't like anything. And I was shocked. I was uncomfortable because for the first time in my life, I didn't like something and I was choosing to be there. We've all been in school, in the high school or the middle school, and we don't want to be there, but you have to finish high school. Everybody knows that. But I chose this college and I just couldn't. I'm even getting goosebumps thinking about it now. I just couldn't get over the fact that I was choosing something consciously that I didn't want to do. It was so uncomfortable. It just felt disgusting. You can see the look on my face, I'm sure, because I remember those moments. I was so confused on why I was following, something that I didn't want for myself. And so
the whole experience was negative.
I mean, of course, I made like 1 or 2 good friends, like my habits had proven me to. But for the most part, there was nothing about the school that was particularly interesting or exciting for me to be there. So
that's interesting. When my kids were little, I used to send them to summer camps wherever I could, to the best schools, best universities. I wanted them to step on those campuses as a young child, 8, 9, 11, 15, so that they knew that there was nothing big and a big deal about it, and that they understood whether they were comfortable or not.
Yeah.
Yeah, well, I figured, I don't want them to think small. I want them to think big. And one of the ways that a lot of very rich people do that is they send their kids, and we were rich then, they send their kids to summer camps at the Ivy Leagues, at the best schools.
Yeah.
So that the kids, you don't tell them I'm sending you here or there. They just go and they're like, yeah, oh, okay. So it doesn't overwhelm them like it does when they're in the last year of high school necessarily. But that must have been a big shock for you.
It was weird. It was definitely weird because everything that I said I wanted, I got, and I wasn't happy. And so that summer, I remember I made a presentation. It was like 12 slides to my parents, and the title was "Why Georgia Tech Might Not Be the School for Me." I opened my laptop, and their faces they just lose it. They're like, "What?" They say, "Have you lost your mind? Like, you have a scholarship. This isn't just you are turning down. You're trying to walk away from an opportunity that millions of people don't have. I don't understand." And I couldn't give a good enough reason other than the way that I felt. And I didn't feel confident at that time for my feelings to be enough of a reason. So I closed my laptop. I said, okay, you guys are probably right. They said, just go in the fall. It'll be different. Because I went for a period of summer to get started early, as my mom would like me to do, right? As we were taught, get ahead. And I went in the fall for first 4 weeks or 6 weeks of the fall were great. You know, there's excitement on campus, more people are there, clubs are getting introed. But as I started to get into the routine, that same sad, unfortunate feeling, you know, came into my heart where I was just like, this is just not for me. And that is when the real estate knowledge came back up. Because if I'm not going to do this, what am I going to do? Right? What am I going to do? Over the course of the fall semester, I asked again and again and again to my parents for permission to leave. No, 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 no. That October, I turned 18, my first semester in college, and I said, you know what? I'm an adult now. The last day to submit documents to take a leave of absence was November 3rd. I didn't ask. I just wrote up the paperwork and I submitted it. And I was like, I'm done. I booked an Airbnb for a month just in case I wasn't welcome back home because of my decision. Fortunately, I was, but that's how the real estate idea came back up. It was really kind of born and motivated out of discomfort, and you know, something's got to change.
So did you know when you were doing that it was going to be real estate, or was it a case of, well, I'm going to try this, and if it works, it works. If not, I'm going to look for something else?
Yeah, it was I'm going to try. And that's exactly why today I'm a dropout. And then I was taking a leave of absence, because if I took a semester off and it didn't work, I was just going to say, okay, look, sometimes you have to do stuff you don't like. And I was going to finish the 4 years. But I took a leave of absence. Obviously, I never went back, so I technically dropped out. But at that time, the difference between the two was major, dropping out versus a leave of absence. And so I took that time off to try it. And, you know, thankfully, with the motivation, with the excitement, with the drive and initiative, persistence, etc., I am where I am today.
I love it. I just love it. So Brandy says, wow, so young and thinking so big. I'm loving the inspiration. Yeah, I know. It's an amazing story. And I mean, it's an amazing life. And it's just getting started. That's the really interesting thing. So talk to us about that month. Did you need to use the Airbnb?
No, okay. Luckily, when I told my mom was really upset for about a period of a week. On day 8, she was like, respect. You know I don't support this, and you're still gonna do it. I see something here, and she was just like, whatever you're trying to do, come back home to do it, and we'll see how it goes. And I even tried to like pay rent and like do my part. She wouldn't accept it. I think she truly wanted me to be successful in whatever it is I wanted to pursue at that time, which I'm so grateful for. I wouldn't be where I am without the support of my mom. And I tell her that all the time. Her support changed the trajectory of my career. But yeah, she welcomed me back home. The week after I dropped out, I left school. I was at my first real estate meetup, shaking hands, meeting people. And that's where I got my first opportunity to be a sales agent at a wholesale company. And I started calling leads for this company.
Where was the meetup? Who were the people involved? You know, I want details.
So it was.
Wait till we get to when you start having. Never mind. I'm just kidding.
It was REI, you know, Real Estate Investing Association.
Yeah.
We all have seen the guys with lots of experience in real estate all meet up there to do deals together, right? I just searched Orlando meetup near me, real estate, and that was the first one that came up. I went there, and I met a guy in particular who was doing at that time about $1 million a month in wholesale revenue. This was the beginning of 2022, end of 2021. So this is when the market was still like really hot. Keep that in mind. The market has turned, it's shifted, it's done lots of weird things over the last few years, but at this time, anything and everything was flying off the shelves. So this individual was doing $1 million a month in wholesale revenue. And I was just like, this guy knows something I don't know. I'm going to figure out how to work with him. And so I was driving for dollars, driving around my neighborhoods, looking for distressed property. I landed a couple of appointments. I didn't know how to talk to people. I didn't know what I was talking about. So I asked this individual for help, and he helped me. And eventually, I wasn't doing so well on my own, just because you don't know what you don't know. You have to get mentorship. You have to get leadership. And he posted on his Instagram that he was hiring sales agents in his office. I said, look, I'll put everything that I'm doing behind me. I want to work for you. I want to learn. And the message that I sent him, I still remember it today like it was yesterday. I said, if you teach me everything, I'll make you a lot of money. And I sent the message 3 days later, I had a job. Commission only, but I had a job.
Nice. What, and it was wholesale?
Yeah, so my job was to call these leads that had been in the system for years or months and lock up the contract over the phone. I was making hundreds of dials every single day, and the day 3
literally hundreds.
Yeah, literally hundreds.
Okay. Well, I used to be in sales, and there were times when I did a little over 100, but not hundreds.
The average on a daily basis was around 300 dials, and we had to have at least like four hours of talk time. I remember these metrics.
Okay. Yeah, I remember all that. Yeah. Interesting. Wow.
So on day 3 that I was there, I closed a deal. And this was a lead that had been in the system for 3 years. It wasn't even considered a hot lead. It was just like, call these trash leads and see if, like, practice, basically. And I closed the deal. And I was like, wait a minute, I think I might have something here. Like, I think I have a newfound skill. I can talk to people. I can connect with people. I'm good on the phone. And that built my confidence. Over 3 months, I worked for that company for 3 months. I closed 33 deals. Something about the 3 here.
Wow.
I closed 33 deals for that company. And I brought in, can't remember the exact number, but I brought in a lot of revenue, obviously, with a wholesale deal averaging 10 to 40K on an assignment.
When you say you closed it, did that mean that you get it under contract?
Yes, over the phone.
Over the phone. And then what would happen?
So they had another department that was responsible for dispo. My job was to just close deals.
That's incredible.
Yeah.
Very nice. Very nice. And I like the fact that you saw it as practice. Like, it doesn't matter what happens. It's just freaking practice. Because if you're going to feel confident in sales and go, and keep the positive attitude, that's what you have to do. You have to look at it as, thank you for the practice. So you hung up on me. All right. Thank you. I now know what that feels like. Keep going. So otherwise you end up, that's when analysis paralysis steps in and you're like, I don't want to take a chance. Good for you. So you made money right away.
Yeah, working for someone else. And that experience, it teaches you how to handle rejection. I don't think I'd be where I am without that experience. Everything that's happened so far has been very strategically designed by God so that I can be the person who I am. And everything that's happening right now is continuing to build upon that. So it is really exciting to just watch things unfold that really, I'm doing my part, but I have no control over.
Oh, that's interesting. That is interesting. But you took control. You took control from your parents, and that was a hard thing for you to do because of, how much they wanted you to do what they wanted you to do.
Yeah.
That is very interesting to me. Let me ask you, when did you start to become an extrovert? Because you have a smile that looks like you were born with it. You glow, and you're so friendly. And even though when you look at your physique, you're really, really strong and hard, but you don't look scary. You look really approachable and welcoming. So when did that happen? That
happened when I left that job because I was forced to be. So I left that job. No longer could I hide behind the phones or just clock in to do my job. I was a full-blown entrepreneur. And when you become one, if you guys are out there and you're not one yet, you have to build relationships, especially in real estate. It's impossible to be successful in this business without building relationships, building good ones, having genuine connections. And so when I left that job, I started to read books like How to Win Friends and Influence People by Daniel Carnegie. I started to really work on my presentation. How do people feel when they're around me? Do people like being around me? All those things so that I could build a successful business and inspire people to follow me and work with me, right?
Yeah.
And I left that job, and I had $13,500 from that job in the 3 months that I worked there. And thank you. Nice. That's the first money. That's the first real money that I made. Before that, I had only ever been like a referee for youth soccer. But anywho.
But you had a whistle. You had a whistle.
I did have a whistle. That's true. That's true.
So what did you do with your money, and were you still at home? Tell us the next part.
Yeah, I was still at home. This is only 4 months after I dropped out of college. 4 months after I dropped out, I had made $13,000. That was like a pretty good record. I was like, I'm going to keep pursuing this. During that time where I left the company and before I joined Sub 2 with Pace Morby, it was very apparent that in order to be successful, you need mentorship, you need community. And since I had left my past community, this job, I had left my past mentor, my boss, I needed to now transition into a new community and mentor. But I knew I didn't want another job. I didn't drop out of school to go get a job being a sales agent. I dropped out to be successful in real estate. So I used my commission to join Sub 2. And the only reason I knew about Sub 2 is because every morning at that job, we'd have a sales meeting, 9 a.m. sales meeting. And some of those mornings, they would play Pace Morby talking to a seller. And I was just like, you know what? I like that guy. Let me check out some of his videos. And I fell into the Sub 2 funnel. And I bought.
I bet if that guy could go back, he wouldn't be showing you those.
Yeah.
He's like, dang it, I lost
That's
her.
right. That's right.
Oh, that's awesome. So you checked out the YouTube and you decided, okay, I'm giving my money to Pace.
100%. You know, the person who gave me the program answered all my questions confidently. They set up a payment plan. And I just was like, you know, thinking of this as my college. I was like, if I'm going to get somewhere, I have to invest in the education. So for me, it was like a no-brainer almost. Once I got all my questions answered, I was like, if this is what you say this is going to be largely helpful. So I'm willing to spend the money.
You know, you were really lucky.
I know, right? Because I could have sold some way other stuff.
There are so many mentors out there that would have gladly taken your money and given you very little.
I know. I'm so lucky. I'm so lucky.
Truly lucky. And, you know, when I was in Canada and I couldn't do much, one of the things I could do was network. I couldn't believe how many people, and even to today, belong to 4 to 6 mentorships. And we're talking between at least 100 to 200K in there. And they're like, but I'm learning. I'm like, you should
be freaking billionaire status.
So tell me when you joined.
April 2022. So.
Oh my God, Alexis, do you remember the day?
Yeah. Well, I don't remember the day. No.
I joined April 13th, 2022.
Oh wow, we joined around the same time.
That's funny. Awesome. Now, when did you join Gator? Because I joined Gator a couple weeks before.
Man, I can't even remember the month I joined Gator. Probably a little over a year ago to this date.
Okay.
Yeah.
So you first came to my attention with door knocking, but I don't know if that was the first thing you did when you joined, because you know how it is when we first joined. You know, you're like, the water hose is coming, and you're like, I feel like a drowned rat. You know?
So let me tell you this. So I was coming from that sales job. I needed a mentor. I was good at sales. I had closed 33 contracts the previous 3 months. And I just had spent all of my money on this mentorship, right? I had to allocate that. And I went into the nightly dial, which was a thing way back when. And most people who go on the nightly dial are going to practice their sales. I went and closed the first 2 sellers I got on the phone. So everyone's just like, who is this person? Where have you been? Welcome to the community. And because of that instance, I got to network with the highest level people in Sub 2 because they were trying to recruit me on their team.
Was that Daniel Kionis?
Yeah, that was with Daniel. There was like a couple other, the Bash Bros were in there. And so very quickly, I got connected to what I would say the movers and shakers back then of Sub 2 because they wanted to hire me. I didn't end up working for any of them, although I made good friends. I just told them my problem. I said, I just left this company. I know how to close deals. You guys just saw me close 2 deals. But I don't want to work for someone, and I don't want to spend a lot of money on marketing, cold calling systems, lists, etc. And that's when they suggested you should door knock foreclosures. If you know how to sell, if you know how to get a contract, door knocking is free. All the data is free, and you have time. You don't have a job. You know, go out and door knock these foreclosures. And so I just took action on that, and that's why.
By yourself, or did you join a team?
By myself. By myself.
Okay. Now hold on, because until now, you kind of had it figured out that you need to learn. Yeah. And you're not afraid of doing, but didn't you think wouldn't you have thought to join a team that's already up the curve and, you know,
I think I would have joined a team if there was one immediately presented to me that was door knocking. But the only explanation that I can come up with is that there wasn't one in Orlando that was door knocking. And so I wasn't going to just sit on my butt. I was like, this is what they said to do. I'm going to figure out how to do it. And I do remember watching all the door knocking and foreclosure videos and stuff too. And I took a lot of action based off of those videos.
Yeah, because I remember Dennis was in New Jersey. There were a bunch of people doing door knocking, but I don't know about Florida. I wasn't paying too much attention there. But that's
popular
interesting.
for a while.
So you got out there and just started knocking, and what happened? How did it go?
Yeah, I started knocking. I got contracts right away. Foreclosures are some of the most motivated leads. I tell anyone today who has the time and the bandwidth, the mental capacity to door knock if they're looking for a deal. So some of the best deals, and they immediately have to get rid of their problem. They have a pressing problem with more motivation than almost any lead I've ever seen. So I got contracts right away. I started making money. My largest door knocking assignment was $48,000 in one check as an 18-year-old girl, So I was like, this works, like, let's freaking go.
This works, you think? Wow. Cool.
Yeah.
Now, when did you start developing your own team? Because I know you had one.
Yeah, this is a really interesting period because I was door knocking, and you can only do so many as one individual. There's tons of houses. And people took interest. The reason people took interest is because I was uploading on YouTube my whole journey. I was like, here's how I'm door knocking. Like, there's only a couple people teaching this. I'm going to teach it too. And I was uploading my whole journey. And because I was educating, and this has been my journey even to this day, because I was educating, people wanted to join me. People wanted to lock hands and come with me. And so I started hiring these people on commission. I said, I'll give you everything. I'll give you the education. I'll give you the leads. And you go and door knock if you close something, or if you call me in. I think the structure was they set the appointment for me. If you call me in to close something, then I will give you a commission. And that was okay for a while. Door knocking is really hard. There was a lot of churn because people, didn't have the time, or they didn't have the mindset, or whatever it was. But it was really interesting. That was my first time leading a team. I was 18, talking to people who were 35, 40, with kids at home, trying to help them, make money door knocking. It was a very interesting position for me. I learned a lot about leadership. I can, like I told you before the podcast started, I know now that the maturity that I have has aided a lot in building the team that I have now. Me dealing with people back then, I didn't know anything about company vision or making someone stick to the company, getting core values. I was just like, whoever has a heartbeat and wants to make money, come and door knock with me,
That's funny. How many people did you have?
I had over 8 people. We would have like weekly Zoom. I think I was doing an okay job. We were doing weekly Zoom calls, nightly, reviewing conversations, metric tracking. I was doing okay for what I knew, but you don't know what you don't know.
How long did you do it for, and what did you go to next?
Yeah, so I was door knocking for probably 8 or 9 months. I didn't do. I mean, maybe a year would be a stretch, but for 8 or 9 months consistently with this team. And the reason I moved on is because I saw an individual we both know and love, Abraham Gray, inside of the Sub-2 community. And the first time I saw his name come up, he was giving someone a proof of funds for like $1 million, $2 million. And
Hey, that was the first time I paid attention to him too. Meaning that I was like, this guy's got.
He just has $1 million sitting around. Like, what? What the heck? It caught both of our attention. So I was like, this is very interesting. I want to find out more about who this is. And very good point you mentioned. Like, at this point, I didn't have like a direct mentor. I was in the community. I had friends who were doing better than me. There's obviously Pace, who leads the community, but I didn't have like a direct mentor. So I was like, this is very interesting. I want to find out more about who this is. And by this time, my door knocking team had like fizzled out. Like, no one was very motivated. It was just me. So I was really a free agent. I didn't have a lot of commitments. So at one point there was a meetup, a real estate meetup in Atlanta. And I was just like, I think Abraham's going to be there. I messaged a guy named Eddie Charger, who was a leader in the community because he was like the leader of Atlanta. I was like, hey, do you know if Abraham's going to be at this meetup? So I messaged him. He was like, yeah, he'll be there. And I was like, great. I took my car on a 6.5-hour trek from Orlando to Atlanta just to like see what it's about, see what he's about.
Yeah.
Down to meet and chat. So we met. He invited me to his office, which if anyone knows him, he will always welcome you in and invite you to the office, chat. And we had conversation. We talked about my door knocking, talked about a little bit about what he was doing. He was actually at the time teaching seminars, weekend seminars on business buying. And so I just wanted to build a relationship. I was like, wow, that sounds like really cool. How much is the ticket? He goes, $2,000. And I just made like 48,000. I was like, okay, done. Like I'm buying it because I really wanted to build a relationship and just be around more.
Yep.
So I had my next trip to Atlanta booked at that point. And this is October, November 2022 at this point.
Wait,
so this is still less than a year than I dropped out of college. This is like all of this has happened less than a year after I dropped out, after I took a leave of absence. So by this point, there's no way I'm going back. I see the cat,
So when you decided that you're going to go to a couple of the deal makers, is that the first time we met in person?
Maybe, I think so.
Yeah. But where was that? It wasn't in Atlanta. It was in
Arizona, I think.
Yes. No. I want to say Orlando.
Oh, New Jersey. Oh, Orlando. Okay. They posted so many. I've been to so many. I can't keep track.
Yeah. I know. And I've been to 2 and then 1 virtual. So amazing, Alexis. Yes, she is amazing. It's pretty cool. So you started going to them, but you hadn't moved up yet, had you? I mean,
no.
Explain how I understand your being intrigued with Abraham. I have been too. And for myself, I find that there's a lot in common. I mean, certainly I don't have that kind of money or anything else, but the sort of things we had to go through were not so dissimilar. And the fact that, he's very down to earth. I mean, sorry people, but I'm not wearing makeup, that whole sort of thing. We're really, salt of the earth sort of thing. And I think that makes it very easy for us to get along and like each other. However, you were not necessarily that situation. You're young and you were, aspiring. And how did you grow your relationship, or how did it come that you said, I'm going to move up to Atlanta to be with Abraham and Donna and the family?
Yeah. I think honestly, if I'm being completely honest, I think there was some sort of, I don't know, you'd have to ask Abraham to be sure, but I think there was some sort of, he saw a little bit of what I was doing and said, I had these same characteristics when I was younger. I was willing to drive 6.5 for an opportunity. I was willing to show up every day. I was willing to spend the money. I was just so hungry, and I was willing to do whatever it took. And I don't know whether he took notice of it or not, but I know that for me, that persistence drove and grew the relationship more than anything. I mean, even now, when I first moved, I was here in the office every day for 3 months, like really barely making any money. And I would see people come in and they would say, hey, I want help. I want to learn from you. You know so much. And then they'd leave. I'd see another person come in and then they'd leave. And people just wouldn't stick around. And I think the difference with me was, whether I was making money or not, whether I was doing well, I was willing to stick around to see how it was going to turn out. But ultimately, I ended up moving because we did a small cleaning company acquisition, and I was responsible for sales and marketing. I was like, okay, this is my opportunity. Abraham actually mentioned, hey, if you move to Atlanta, we could do a lot more deals together. I immediately moved. I made more than enough money to feel comfortable moving out of my parents' house, and I was taking a chance to grow to the next level of income. And so I moved. I was renting like a small little basement for $800 a month.
I remember.
That video actually is on my YouTube channel, moving into that little basement. Oh my God. And now I own a property. So much has happened. But
you worked for it.
Yeah, I lived in a little basement, and I would come, which is like 5 minutes from this office, maybe 10 minutes from the office. And I would just come here every day just to observe and learn. And after 3 months, I was just barely scraping by. And I was just like, I need to make money here. I need to figure out some ways to make money. And that's when opportunity kind of came for me to bring deals to Abraham. Previous to then, I was just kind of around, learning, watching, observing. And at some point I was like, I need to make a lot of money here if I'm going to keep living here and growing here. And I said, hey, like, what are some of the ways that you make money? How are you involved? Like, I started being more intentional about my questions and about how I was spending my time rather than just spending it.
Mhm.
And I discovered one of the largest ways, Abraham does a lot of stuff, businesses, buying real estate, lending. I mean, he could go down the whole list. It's probably over a dozen things in streams of income. But
Oh, yeah.
one of the largest ways that I discovered was lending. And I was coming from a wholesale background. Actually, for a period of time here in Atlanta, I was door knocking because that's what I knew. I knew I had to make money, and I was door knocking. I spent a lot of time building a small team door knocking here just to try to duplicate what I did in Orlando to make some money. That's how much I was like, oh my God, I need to make money. Like, I have to do something. But one of the ways I discovered that he was doing a lot of deals and making a lot of money was lending. And so I asked, like, okay, what are some opportunities for me to get involved in lending? Like, let me learn a little bit about lending. I was coming from a wholesale foreclosure background, so I really knew nothing other than how to evaluate the value of a house. And the first thing that opened itself up was wholesale double closes, right? We all know those juicy 24-hour loans
Yep.
that can make you 1%, 2%, 0.75%, whatever it is that you want.
Yep.
And
Oh, and wait, I'm going to do a plug. Hey guys, anybody out there who wants to do a double close, I'm in that too.
I love it. You should absolutely. Anyone who's
Absolutely.
doing a double close, make sure you reach out to Effie who can get your deal funded. I
You
absolutely
got
love
it. You got it. But it has to be in certain states. That's one thing, though. I learned that from Abraham.
Well, send all your other states to me. Send all your other states to me.
Okay. All right. Okay. It's a deal. It's a deal. We can do that.
But that was the first opportunity that opened itself up for me to go and hunt and find these double closes. And so I just made it my duty day and night. And at this time, I wasn't dating anyone. I didn't have any other commitments. Now I'm in almost a year-long relationship. But at this time, I just spent every single hour of every single day trying to find these deals. And that's what I did. Mainly Facebook groups and my wholesale network. So since I was a wholesaler, I had a couple wholesalers that I knew, which I reached out to and followed up with. And then I would spend time every week, at least 3 times a week, posting in almost every Facebook group that I could find about me doing double closes. And I would do it consistently. I did it for over 3 or 4 months, and then I got a good little book of business. And I started to really enjoy it. I was making money off these double closes, and I was like, I love lending. What other loans do you do? That's how now.
Yeah, but it's interesting, right? Because you were lending his money. That was very helpful.
Yeah. That was for sure helpful.
And the thing is that you could say you could do that as a connector, but the problem is that a lot of connectors aren't doing their job. They've misunderstood what it means. And it's a lot harder, but that Abraham will come through, and you also know Abraham isn't an idiot. He will not take a deal if it's not good. So perfect place for anyone actually to learn and have that. It's like having the, proof of funds. It's the strength, right?
Yes, it was huge. I mean, there's no doubt in my mind when I say I would not be where I am without Abraham's expertise and his guidance and mentorship. That is not even, it's not even a possibility. So he's been extremely instrumental in the whole journey.
Right. I do have to say though, Alexis, that I think that's true for a heck of a lot of us.
Yeah.
It's not like I am anywhere, but if it were not for Abraham, I would not have gotten into any kind of lending, and I wouldn't be still looking at it very seriously. And, I'm not where you are, but, to flex the muscles and build a team and all that. I think he's done that for a lot of people. Yeah. He's just very approachable. He's extremely knowledgeable, and he tells it, I remember when I said to him one time, hey, what about all these wraps? Wraps are the thing. Should I be doing them? And he's looking at me and he goes, a lot of people are going to get up shit creek with those apps. You want to stay away
And
from
there it is. And it's come to fruition. It's true.
I know. That's one of the things I love about him. So you really have had a fantastic opportunity that you made for yourself, because as you say, I've been in the office. A lot of us have been in the office, but moving there so you can go there every day is a different thing.
Yeah.
Well, first off, I'd have to kidnap the grandbaby, and then I'd have to find somebody to take care of the grandbaby. Anyways, it isn't always possible. But I'm delighted for you and for Abraham that the two of you found each other, because I think that I love when I see you guys together on stage and all of a sudden, you walk off and he goes, where'd she go? Or you come back and you go, no, then we're not doing that. We're doing this, and he's like, or he tells you, the chemistry is you can tell you guys are having fun and that you work very, very well together. So that goes a long way.
Thank you.
Yeah. And once you started doing that for 3-4 months and started to build up doing lending, then I think you guys really took off as a partnership.
Yeah. 100%.
Not that Abraham doesn't go places, or you don't go places without each other. You do, but the community started seeing you together a whole lot more. Yeah. And, like he has said before, he gets the older people, you get the younger people. You don't like older people? There's Alexis. You don't like young people? They don't know anything, whatever.
And men, women, we have everything.
Man, woman,
black, white, no matter what you mean, we have it.
Exactly. And chemistry and humor. So, I think that is fantastic. And you started to get very good at presenting in Sub 2. You've done a heck of a lot of presentations, and I applaud you for that.
Thank you.
And I started to sense a change in you, maybe close to a year now, where you were starting to seek, like Abraham's your mentor and partner, but then you started to seek other guidance about growing. And I was like, oh, look at that. She's doing this and she's doing that. And it made me think too. So I thank you for that. Talk to us about that stage of your development, because you're making money with Abraham. He's happy that you're helping, and that you're making, he's making money too. How did you get to that point, and what is the black card? And talk about, that part of you that maybe not everybody knows yet.
Yeah, I think for me, once I got into this world of real estate, it became very apparent that money rules the whole thing. He who controls the gold makes the rules. And so my immediate desire was to figure out, how can I start controlling more gold? How can I start writing the rules? And as much as I love deal making, lending, it wasn't necessarily the avenue through which I could, bringing deals or finding deals wasn't the avenue through which I could control the gold. I wanted to be in the room with people who had more zeros on their figures, right? I wanted to be in the room with people who knew how to, at the drop of a dime, get a hold of $10 million. And so that desire just came from something that I was born with. You want to learn more always. You want to level up always. I think people have that, or they don't, and it can certainly be learned to have that desire to grow. I'm just not a person that gets comfortable, and I'm also, I want to make it clear, I'm not a person that is moving fast or motivated by money, but I am slow and steady wins the race. I will constantly try to level up my life, and that's just the journey that I chose. And so I was exposed to this group, Black Card, around starting funds. And if you guys don't know, that is how almost all deals, all high-level deals are made. They're through investment funds, through people who are raising hundreds of millions of dollars and going and investing it. Individuals who have capital will invest in these funds, and these fund managers, also known as GPs, will go and invest that capital on behalf of the LP's limited partnership, whether it be in a venture capital business, a private equity business, a piece of real estate, a merger or an acquisition. These deals are happening every single day under our nose on the streets we drive on and you don't know about them unless you seek them out. This isn't similar. This isn't unlike Pace Morby, unlike Robert Kiyosaki, unlike Jerry Norton. This is not information that you find on YouTube. You have to pay the price. You have to spend the time. And so because of its secrecy, because of its, black curtain, I was more hungry to go and learn. I was more encouraged to go and find out what is behind, what are these Wall Street secrets. If you guys go to my YouTube, you'll see the description is I'm on a journey. I founded my first investment fund at 20 years old, and I'm on a journey to uncover Wall Street secrets to outsized returns. Like, I just have to know. And I will spend the rest of my life figuring it out. I promise you that. But
how did you find out about Black Card? And do you find that they're welcoming, or why are you saying you will find out? I mean,
Black Card is one of the only groups that is welcoming. I'll say that. And Black Card is fairly new too. Like, most people in there. I mean, the leader of it, his name's Bridger Pennington. His dad has a fund that I think has crossed 44 billion family of funds. But Bridger, which is that guy's son, started the whole Black Card group. But people coming into Black Card are also new. Most people who start a fund spend 20 years on Wall Street before they do so. Spend at least 10 years working for a firm before they do so. So the how-to, the how does this work, the financing of it, the connections, the paperwork, the legal, that stuff there's no book. There is no book. There is no YouTube video. There is no anything. And you either have to go to school in the Ivies, spend the time on Wall Street, or have a rich and successful dad like Bridger to learn those things. And so I have spent the last year, like you noticed, trying to make those connections. I went back to school. I'm in school and I'm enrolled in school now. And I've spent a large amount of my time separate from raising capital and focused on my business to, pushing that envelope, pushing that glass ceiling so that I can break into some of that knowledge and expose it, for lack of better words, to everyone. I want everyone to know. If I'm going to know everyone.
Where are you going to school? What are you studying? And what is Black Card a mentorship? Or talk a little bit about more what it is.
Yeah, so Black Card is a mentorship group. It's sort of like a community. I see Bridger trying to do similar stuff to what Pace has done. I think it'll be very hard to duplicate what Pace has done. However, there is a lot of encouragement. There's a lot of hand-holding. There's a community aspect for sure. There's meetups. And these are all individuals who are not at the beginning of their career. They're trying to scale with funds. They're trying to scale by starting funds and raising capital, whether it be 10 million, 100 million, 50 million. I very rarely will see a fund in there under 10 million. So these are not individuals who are, new to the game. A lot of them have been in for 5, 10, 15, 20, 30 years, and they just discovered that they can scale their business with a fund. Because you don't just come across that knowledge. It's not common knowledge. Most people don't know what a fund is. So there's people in there who have just been living their lives, doing what they've always done, who are now being introduced to the concept of taking it to the next level legitimately with a fund because of Bridger. Because you just don't know that stuff unless you're in that, have been exposed to some of that information. But
wow. So what are you studying?
I'm studying finance. Yeah, I went back to school for finance. The number one reason was because when I got exposed to these new groups and new crews, new networks, there was a lingo that I was totally lost on. There's a certain language. There's IRR. IRR is just one silly example that we've all seen. But I was at a table on Thursday night with a wealth manager and a lawyer and some other person, just people who are saying things that I don't understand. And it still happens to this day. And I always take it as a good sign that I'm growing. But nonetheless, I was uncomfortable. And so I went back to school to get the education to understand the lingo. And that's the number one reason I went back. I want to have that box checked and say, okay, I've at least done my part to understand. The second reason was because even in my personal business, I want to have a basic understanding of accounting. If I ever hire a CFO, I want to know if they're bullshitting me or not. I want to have like a basic understanding of what I should be on the lookout for. So that was the main motivator behind going back to school. And then some of the perks that the fruits of it is I've been introduced to some cool people. I've met cool people. Cool people speak at institutions. Cool people, have institutional events. So that's been a cool perk, is just like meeting next level people that I don't think I would have gotten access to if I wasn't in school.
Right. I think Brenda shares the sentiment of most people when she says, good for you, Alexis, get in there with the big boys and girls.
Yeah,
sure.
it's exciting.
That's for sure. How long do you think it'll take you to actually achieve what you want to, in this area? And are you doing it online, or are you doing physical school?
No. I'm taking school online, and school is really easy. It's not hard at all. It's just I really joined for the couple of reasons that I mentioned. But how long will it take me to accomplish my goals?
Yeah, no, to get inside the boys' club and the big girls' club.
Probably about 5 to 10 years. 5 to 7 years is my guess. I mean, I'll probably be inside in the next 2 to 3 years, like fully have the network, have the contacts, be capable. Because I've been working on that for a year now, and I've started to see what I was doing a year ago come to fruition now. I can't imagine the momentum that will come on top of that. But taking full advantage of it will probably take, 5 to 10 years or so. Because right now I'm still planting my seeds. I'm still watering them. I'm still building relationships. I'm still finding the fertile soil, figuring out what's not good and what's good. And that could take, another year or two. And then fully taking advantage of it, controlling it, moving it forward, telling everyone by the time I'm 30, maybe. But even if it doesn't happen as quick as I think it will, like I mentioned, I'm willing to dedicate my life to this. So I'm willing to go as long as it takes.
I love it. Now tell us about fractional lending, because and I haven't even done what I said I would do like I normally do. This is so whack. Okay, all of you. Here's where I think you probably already know that for just a sec. For IG, it's
Alexis Mogan.
Oh, all right. Thank you. And I was complaining about that person not spelling my name right. That's hysterical.
There we go.
So that's where you can check her out there. However, she actually has a Hoobie Alexis Morgan. And if you go there, you're going to be able to find access to all of the things that she does, not just IG and YouTube. So you're getting to hear her a little bit and know her a little bit. I think that you might want to actually get to know her more. Hold on. Wait. Hold on. Okay. Here's where I'm like, okay, I do need to slow down just a bit. If you want to get to know her more fully, make sure you check her out there. And we need to know that how can you help Alexis? Well, the same way you can help me and everybody else. She wants investors, and she wants to do more deals.
Yeah.
So definitely approach her and get on it. Don't let this opportunity go by. So I think that is really, really awesome. But could you explain a little bit about fractional lending?
Sure.
And
of course.
How can people work with you now?
Yeah, part of my business is first position liens on real estate. These are private money loans. And so for a while, when I met Abraham, he was doing these for decades on his own. I came in and I said, hey, I think people would be interested in this, but they don't want to find the deals. They don't want to talk to 12.5 borrowers before they can find one worth funding. They don't want to spend hours underwriting. I bet you I can raise money for this, have them come in as passive partners or passive investors, and then we'll do all the heavy lifting for them to get a decent return on their capital and monthly interest payments. So up until I was working with fractional, I would only work with people who had $50,000 or more to invest. Our average loan size here is around $210,000. On a slow week, we'll do 2 to 3 closings. On a busy week, we'll do 7. So we are actively deploying capital every single day, every single week of the month. We are doing deals, and so we would work with people who had $50,000 or more to invest. Those people would email me directly. But I would get tons of people who said, I have 15, I have 20, I have 10, I want to put to work. And because of the large loan size, I just didn't want to have to work with 10 people on one loan. But then fractional came in the picture, and they said, hey, for these people who want to invest a smaller amount of capital, what we can do is we can join them all up as partners, and we will take care of all the administration that comes with that. We will create the LLC. We will make sure everyone gets their interest payments pro rata. We will make sure that wires are sent on time, etc. So Fractional is a great company. They are in their Series B round. They were a startup in 2020. Now they built crazy momentum. I love them. I'm a huge fan. And I was actually very slow to do deals with them just to see how they work, just to see if they were who they said they were. And I can guarantee you they are. They're a great group. And I work with them frequently and often to raise money and get people who want to invest 10, 15, 20 into a loan opportunity. And I present deals there very often. So let me see if I can get my community link too, so that I can put that in.
Absolutely. And what kind of returns can they expect?
Yeah, so all of my investors get at least a minimum of a 10% return. Investors that I work with are always getting 10 to 12%, no matter the market, no matter the conditions. This will be on YouTube forever, and that 10% is as low as I'll go. And the reason that is because I want you to be excited. I want to be excited about double-digit returns. There's something exciting once you get to the 1-0 mark. 9's okay. 8 maybe beats the market, but there's something very exciting once you get to the 1-0 double-digit mark. And so that's the minimum that you can expect to receive ever working with me.
Now, I don't know if this is still birdie, but wow. Are you sure it's 28 or 38?
Wow. Yeah. Yeah, and people ask me about that all the time. By no means do I say like, hey, we offer the highest rates. What I do know that we offer is vetted first position loans on real estate here within 60 miles of Atlanta. So if you're looking for a trusted partner in this area, come talk to us. Let's figure out if we're a good fit for each other. But by all means, you will see deals that have a higher price tag, that have 18, that have 20, that have 30. Do your due diligence, of course. I'm not betting those deals. So if you are going to choose to go after those, I'm happy for you, but do your due diligence.
Yep, I agree. And I think one of the biggest things I've learned from you both is that I'm not interested in second position.
Yeah.
I don't need to take a real risk for 30,000. I mean, for 30%. It's just, I'd much rather do something in first position and know that I can foreclose, and I will if need be. So, yep, that's the way to go. All right.
I just put the community link in the chat for anyone who wants to join Fractional. I think I put it in our private chat.
Yep. And here we go. I'll put it in there, and we will also highlight it so that people in the future can see it.
Awesome. This has been so fun.
I know. So we should be, I encourage a lot of you guys to get out there and try this. Alexis is outside the box, and she's got energy that, it's just incredible. It's just incredible. I love what you're doing. Watching your journey is a pleasure. I want to have you back. I'm going to be here for a long time. So that 5 years that you're talking about, hey, I want to have you back. I want to have you back. I want to know.
I probably have crazier things to share 5 years from now. I mean,
oh, for sure. And we haven't even touched the personal stuff, which out of respect, I've decided, to wait for the next one. But I do think it's pretty incredible what you're doing. And, I just want to say thank you very, very, very much. And if Abraham is there, tell him hello. I really thought he would have popped in, but
me too, honestly. I'm
probably out for lunch. So she learns from the smartest investor. You know what? He is an incredibly smart person and awesome. But I love the fact that she's going after the big boys what up? What up? Yeah, what up? So I love the fact that you're looking at getting into those high-end circles that usually you only get if you graduate from the Harvard Business School and have put in your time, at the on the street, Wall Street, and such. I don't think that, maybe Abraham would be interested in doing all that, but I don't think so. I don't think they're his group of people. And, my ex-husband, my dad paid for my husband to go through the Harvard Business School. So,
Oh, wow.
yeah, I met some pretty incredible people there. And, all I can say is Abraham's more my kind of people.
I love it. I love it.
You can be in both worlds because you just can.
That's my goal. That's my goal, is to play both sides of the coin and really make the most out of both opportunities.
I love the fact that already that when you get to be, that you're already running your life on your own terms. How freaking awesome is that?
It's amazing.
I'm not. I'm at the willy-nilly of my daughter and that grandbaby who just looks at me and just like, Gammy, I love you. And I'm like, oh shit, there goes another 5 hours. I got to babysit for her. Oh, do they wear the flip-flops in those rooms? Well, no, Abraham does.
They don't. I actually had to go and buy a whole new wardrobe like 2 months ago because I was starting to get introduced to people and I don't know. I want to, at least until I have I guess until I have the bank account to back me up to say I do whatever I want, I need to be able to make a good first impression and get in the room. So
absolutely,
I had to change my flip-flops a couple times.
If it makes you feel any better, I remember when he was at the Harvard Business School, they actually took that very seriously.
Yeah, they do.
This was a big thing. Back then, there was the Wives Association. Now it's the Partners Association, of course. And, they taught us we had to have a fashion show to show other wives how to dress. I was like, okay.
It's a lot.
Yeah, I was like, okay, whatever. I just kind of lost it when, he wanted me to put my daughter into daycare so that I could improve my tennis game so we could win more matches.
No.
Anyways, sorry. I did that, but whatever. So guys, thank you very much for being here. I am grateful. Alexis, thank you.
Thank you.
And the rest of you, please bring Alexis deals. Let's all do deals together.
Let's do it.
Yeah, let's go. All right, guys. See you next week.